Race 2 of the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup. We're in Laplagne in France, the first visit here for the World Cup circus for 3 seasons. And this demanding technical track from the Albertville 92 games looks as though it may well be heading back into the Olympic rota once more. Fantastic news for the track, for the region, and for the athletes. Well, the first of our 2 heats will feature 32 sleds, the first fulfilled in the new look World Cup lineup for skeleton after the disappearance of the Intercontinental Cup at the end of last season. More sleds come into the World Cup. 32 start, 25 go through. But who will master this tough track? 1,500 meters, 9 corners. Well, the start is a legend in itself, long and flat. The athletes say it's more like a sprint. 6 seconds for the women, 5:58. Alexander Tretyakov, that was the start time that helped him win the last race here back in January 2020. First 2 or 3 corners, relatively gentle, down to turn 4, not much pressure. And here, the upper labyrinth, lots of skids possible as well. Working their way down from corner 6. Again, another series of flip-flop corners down to 10, then 11, big corner 12, double pressure here. Sliders drop right down out of side before popping back up, skidding on the exit out of 13, very common. And then out of corner 15 into 16. And this is a big, big double pressure, double corner. Sweeping 17 and 18. Down into corner 19, the final turn that leads them uphill to the short run to the line, trying to avoid tapping on the right-hand side, which so many have done. They should be down comfortably under 60 seconds. Our World Cup winner in Beijing was Christopher Grotehead, the Olympic champion from Chao Wenhao and Yan Wengang. 2 Chinese sliders on the podium. If they can repeat that here, China with 3 in the top 5. Oh boy, that will be putting our women's winner, Tabby Sturker, a little bit into the shade, and nobody should put Tabby in a corner. So here is our field. Chung Hong Chang, big pardon, there's our World Cup result, effectively, from Beijing. There's our world champion, Matt Weston. Tabby Sturker, 23-year-old former trapeze flyer. She was in circus arts school before she came to skeleton. She sensationally won the women's race. Are we going to have a big shock here? Well, we might. It's been 3 seasons since we last raced here in the World Cup. The podium then, Tretyakov, Martin Stukors, Son Bin-young. None of them competing any longer. Adrian Rodriguez has the honour of being first off, ahead of Sammy Meyer and Kim Ji-soo of Korea. Then Matt Weston, the world champion, goes off fourth, so a nice early start for him. And our 32 sleds include 6 World Cup debutants and another handful with a couple of races under their belt. Adrian Rodriguez for Spain gets our men's skeleton race underway here in Laplagne. His second World Cup race. He started in Beijing, his World Cup campaign. Finished in 18th place there. Starting his racing career on ice in November 2019, recruited by Ander Mirambel, who's with the next tranche of young Spanish sliders in the preparation for the Youth Olympic Games, which comes up in 2024. Started 5.98, the track record 5.58 from Alexander Tretyakov. In the women's race, we were 1200ths away from the start record. Wonder how close we'll get in the men's competition. See the shoulders up there, the elbows out. Rodriguez looking to really wrestle the sled around, which is not necessarily the fastest way down this track. It's very busy. 19 corners in 1,500 meters. There's hardly any straight lines here until you get right down to the bottom. Perhaps the longest of the straights is from 18 into 19. 62.76. Well, the track record is 52.98, again from January 2020, Alexander Tretyakov. The start record must be now getting on for one of the oldest in the business, 30th of January 2015. That was the previous World Cup race weekend here. It was a one-heat race for the men. See the elbows up there, really wrestling the sled around, almost Cresta style. And again, the elbow out, the toe down. You will see a little more finesse from some of our sliders. You will see some in a quarterback scramble like that as well. Sammy Meyer, 26th World Cup start for him. He raced here in 2020. He was 19th place. 6th in the Youth Olympics, since we're talking about them, in Lillehammer 2016. And of course, we head to Lillehammer with the World Cup as we get into January. 5.87. Good start from Sammy Meyer. It is a long, long, long start area here. A little bit more speed in hand than Adrian Rodriguez. 25 of our 32 starters go through, so 7 don't make the second heat. So he needs to try and make sure that he is very much in that second heat. There's 1 World Cup bronze medal under his belt. Of the athletes who competed here back in 2020, only 10 are still sliding in the field today, and only 3 who raced in 2015 are racing here today. A further 3, Martin Stukors, Matthias Guggenberger, and Ander Mirambel are coaching, as Alex Auer is now heading up the coaching strength for the Austrian team. And a 60.81 for Sammy Meyer should put him firmly into the race. Trying to keep it nice and straight on the exits. At least 1 race weekend under his belt. He's got more knowledge of this track than a few of them. That didn't look like a bad run. I wonder where that's going to leave him. Hard to tell at this stage of proceedings. Next up from Korea, 29-year-old Kim Ji-soo. Did race here in the World Cup race. He was 6th in 2020. That's a strong run. One of his first real top results. 6th in the Winter Games in Pyeongchang, of course, in 2018. Don't get much more top results than being in a greater podium in your home Olympics. Top speed so far for him, 72 kilometers an hour, same as Adrian Rodriguez. Sammy Meyer hit 89.9, he's not quite there. higher, 124.8, top speed in the third speed trap. The looping exits here from Kim Ji-soo, 2300s up on Sammy, so the gap's coming back down. He's got better speed, should open up a margin. There's a fairly dramatic exit there off 15. Out of 19, climbing to the line, avoids the wall, 300s. Yeah, when it looks dramatic, it kind of tends to be dramatic. You saw Jeff Payne there, who is the coach for the Korean crew. Kim Ji-soo, look at this, late height, falls off, and then late on the entry, and that means late on the exit as well. These corners are so nailed together, and again, look at it again, working so hard to try and keep a consistent parabola there. Keeping the nose down. So Kim Ji-soo, fastest so far, 60.78. Now the world champion, Matt Weston, what's he got for us today? I'm sure he'll have been very excited to see the hugely excited Tabby Sturker after she got back from her race win. 5.71 getaway for Matt. So Kim 5.64, a little quicker out of the blocks. The skeleton team are staying in the little hamlet of La Roche, which is where, basically where the track finishes. There's a cluster of small houses here, and British Skeleton have used one for many years. So they're sharing a big chalet. And I'm sure Tabby is still bouncing off the walls. Now Matt Weston bringing it back from 400s back to the tie, to the lead by 400s. Again, late exit there. Good speed, 126.0, fastest of all. This could be a quarter-second lead if he keeps it clean down at the bottom. Tries to avoid too much steering, take the odd hit. If it avoids steering, 3,500, 60.43. All right. So the Olympic champion looking to add a 7th career World Cup race to his tally. There's Natalie, who's leading the GB Skeleton crew. Again, look at the take on here. No matter how good you are with the line, that's such an abrupt take on. And then you just get so many of these turns as well. You get dumped on the exit. Maybe a little less dramatic with the bobsleds. Can't guarantee it. I think Monobob is going to be highly...
a bit to clean up. Hi Alex, hi Rosie. Let's go.
Highly entertaining. Highly entertaining. Bits to clean up for Matt Weston, the leader. What about Yang Wengang of China? 3 Chinese athletes in the top 5 in Beijing. Jack Machens, the coach there, very happy with that. But here he says they are in a world of lack of knowledge. They don't know the track. Here it's just drive to survive, he said. 5.93 getaway. Take no chances. This is the first of a pair of European races before the Christmas break. So you don't want to get dinged up. They will go to Eagles outside Innsbruck next week, a track that everybody knows better. They'll be much more in their comfort zone. And this is a very different nature track. Don't forget that whatever they've done before COVID, during COVID, the Chinese athletes spent 2 years only able to slide on one track, and that was the Olympic track in Beijing. Now, it helped for the Games, but they didn't accelerate their knowledge of anything else. And this is not Beijing. This is a very, very different track. This is much more like an Altenberg. Lots of steering, lots of driving. 61.77. Again, if they make the second heat, great. If they don't get hurt, better. And although we're talking about professionals that are doing this for a living, you know, you are sliding downhill at 120, 130 kilometers an hour head first with no protection against the ice walls. And when things like this happen, you just get bumped all over the place. It's not just the shoulders, the ribs, the hips and all of that.
Hello.
Chins can take a battering. Matt Weston leads from Kim Ji-soo and Sammy Meyer. 5 down, 27 to go. Italy's Mattia Gaspari raced here in the World Cup in January 2015, one of our veterans. That was early in his career, pre-Achilles injury. Oh, clips the wall on the left-hand side. We've seen a few sliders in the women's race just take a little steer, toe steer, to keep away from that wall. And he got sent straight into it, and that is going to rob him of speed. 5.95, not the fastest getaway. When he, pre-injury, he was a quick starter, less so now. It's here in his 45th World Cup race, in effectively his second career as a skeleton slider for Italy. And like everybody else, the Italians waiting to find out where the sliding will be held for the 2026 Milan Cortina Games. Seems certain now that it's unlikely to be in Cortina d'Ampezzo, which is such a disappointment for everybody, I think. Out of the final corner, across the line, fourth fastest, 60.97. Okay, that should see him happily into the second heat. He's a little disappointed with that, but he's come back from as far as 6/10 behind the leader. 24 hundredths behind, just in the start area. It's a long run there, a real marathon, not a short sprint, and then biff, just tags the wall, slipping into turn one.
Che stupido.
For those that don't understand Italian, that was che stupido. Next up, Jung Seung-hui for Korea. Tied for 11th place here in the last World Cup race 3 years ago. Let's see if he can add to that with another 3 seasons experience, now 24 years of age. Start record, 5:52. That's astonishing. Well, we didn't have any indication in the women's race that we would get close to start records. That is absolutely breathtaking stuff. The record of Alexander Tretyakov that has stood since the 30th of January 2015 has just been broken by Jung Seung-hui. Let's see what he's got further down the track. Again, his form is so good. He's really picked up the pace so much over the last 2 or 3 years, particularly after retirement of Sun Bin-young. He was already very firmly out of Sun's shadow. Jung Seung-hui is going to lead the race by how much? Quarter of a second and change, 60.15. Well, he finished 11th here 3 years ago. He's got 3 silver medals as his best World Cup results. Can he finally make it to the top step of the podium? Excellent stuff from Jung. Let's take a look here at this transition. Again, just a big bump coming on. Such a hard take on there. But look at this, exit, stays off the wall, not too much of a skid, tiniest of rubs there. That does far less damage than working with the steering. Jung has the lead. Vladislav Hereskevich of the Ukraine was better than Jung Seung-hui here 3 years ago. He finished 8th, where Jung was only 11th equal. Now then, how have the last 3 years treated Vlad in relation to the Korean? 5.94 getaway. I haven't got the start times from 3 years ago, but I'm sure that Vlad was around that sort of mark, maybe a little quicker now. 42 hundredths behind Jung at the start, but Jung leads Second place, Matt Weston, by 28 hundredths. Vladislav Heraskevich needs to stop losing time. Keep it neat and tidy. This is a track that should suit him well. He's a good driver of a sled. 5th best speed. Gaps out to 8/10. This is going to see him hovering around Mattia Gaspari, who's currently in 5th. Should be comfortably clear of Yang Wengang of China. 6th place, 200ths behind Mattia Gaspari of Italy. It's not a bad looking run. But as Jung Seung-hui has just shown us, there could be a few more surprises in this field. We've got a few sliders to come that finished better than Vlad, that finished better than Jung 3 years ago. Again, just being bounced up off the sled there. Not as high off as we saw with some of the women's field. But then he's carrying a little bit more mass than most of the female sliders.
Slava Ukraine.
So, next up, the first of our German athletes is our Olympic and world champion, Christopher Groothaar, former world champion. Christopher Groothaar, 2-time world champion. 581. I'm indebted to Elizabeth Meyer for having a look at the results. A 92 and a 93 for Vladislav 3 years ago, a 94 in his first heat this morning. Christopher Groothaar in the red, as everybody is likely to be to Jung Seung-hui. But again, like his female counterparts, although Groothaar's got a pretty decent start, it's further down the track that he makes his mark most often felt. And the more corners there are, the better he's going to like it. Whoa, big looping height there as well. Best speed of all. But is he covering a bit too much ice in the lower parts of the track? Just the tiniest nudge on the wall there. Almost nothing. How close is he going to be? 800ths of a second back. 60.23. Now he started 581 and Jung started 552. So 29 hundredths he gave away at the start and he came back to 800ths behind. See how flushed he is in the face. It is hard work here. We're nearly 1,800 meters above sea level. Certainly at the start, you're just below Laplagne 1800. So it's a lot of exertion going on here in fairly thin air. Our World Cup points leader. Next up from China, Yin Cheng, 27-year-old push world champion last year, 5th in the Winter Games. Did pre-season here a few years ago, so he has got knowledge of the track. Finished 5th in the race in Beijing. He was the one Chinese slider who missed out on the podium. A 5.70 start puts him in the frame. 3rd best run at the moment. Oh, that's gone away. He'd already dropped to 7th best speed. And some fairly leery looking exits. Oh, and another. And another. Well, if the school kids want to see where the mistakes are happening, I'm afraid for Yin that this is a run that's showing them. Oh. If Dirk Matchens had told me that Yin had never been here before, I would have believed that on this run. He may not have spent long here, but he has spent more than a week here. Couple of weeks here. 3rd fastest start, 8th at the bottom, out of 10 sleds. He is ahead of Yang Wengang, so there's something there. 61.63 for him. And again, Dirk very much underlining to his guys, this is not about trying to win something. This is just about getting on with it, getting it done. Big height in 8, and look at that. Wow. There's an exit for you. It's an exit. I wouldn't say it's a pretty exit, but it is an exit. Jung Seung-gui, the leader from Christopher Grote here. Matt Weston trails a little in third. So 10 sleds down and 22 still to go, and we get to Chen Wenhao, silver medalist in Beijing, his World Cup best ever result. He did not compete in the Winter Games in 2022 either in Beijing, so although he knows the track, he didn't make the Olympic team there. So that was a big result for him, huge feather in his cap to get that result on his home ice. 0.09 of a second slower than Yin Cheng, his teammate, in the start. It's really a battle between the Chinese sliders. They're not going to catch Jung. They don't have the knowledge of the track. A lot of toe steering going on here. Again, drive to survive the motto. This is looking like a little bit of a quarterback scramble. Again, big looping height, dumps him on the exit. 8th best speed, down to 8th place. Ahead of Yin, ahead of Yan. Is he the top Chinese? Oh, I'm not sure he's going to stay there. Clips the wall. Where does he finish? He is in 8th. He is the top Chinese. No, he's not. Chen Wenhao is ahead of him in 8th place. Beg your pardon. He is the top. He is Chen. He is ahead of Yin Cheng and Yang Wenjiang. So he is the top Chinese slider. 61.41. So 2200s ahead of Yin. But again, look, legs akimbo there, really hedging his bets, trying to keep the line low, and comes out here so early and so hard on the right-hand side as the slider sees it. Normally everybody else is tapping the exit on their left. Craig Thompson for Great Britain. 21st, missed the cut here in the last World Cup race. Martins Ducours lays the sled on the ice. Martins was a silver medalist here in 2020's race. Now, let's see what he's got here. It's been a good day so far for British Skeleton. See if Craig Thompson can up the ante as well. He'll want to do a lot better than 21st place. Man who missed out on a World Championship bronze medal by 1/100th of a second. 5:72 start is right in there swinging. It's how you keep the speed on board. Fifth fastest at the start, 2700s back. On the splits, he is hanging in the top 3. 4th best speed, but a fairly substantial hit on the wall. Going to take some of that away. Gap's growing now to 3/10. This could still be top 4 at the line. He's going to be close to teammate Matt Weston. 700s behind Matt Weston. He's in 4th place. That's what we like to see. It's a big, big improvement from Craig Thompson over the race here 3 years ago, at least in that first heat. Well, there was a couple of, like with Matt Weston, a couple of fairly significant hits on the wall, and here again, quite over to the left-hand side on that take-on, and that makes it pretty brutal. Got a substantial nudge there as well. That's another few hundreds away. And we continue with our Team GB theme with Marcus Wyatt, 32-year-old, in his 43rd World Cup start. Now, he finished in 14th place here 3 years ago. 2 wins last year in the World Cup and finished 3rd in the overall standings. Real breakout season for Marcus Wyatt. 5:72, exactly the same as his teammate. 2 wins, I don't mean 2 wins, I mean 1 win last year. It was in Whistler, the season opener. He was very competitive all year long. Top 5 start, 6th best speed. needs to keep that aerodynamic form and try and have as few skids as possible. Speed's ebbing out of the sled though. He's not gaining ground, he's losing ground to Matt Weston and Craig Thompson. Only the 7th best speed. Straight down the middle of the track. But does that mean he's got too much control and as a result a little too much drag on the ice from the runners? Cross the line in 5th. So Jung Seung-gui leads from Christopher Groothair, and then for Great Britain, Matt Weston, Craig Thompson, Marcus Wyatt. And they are separated by 900ths of a second, those 3 British sliders. So they are all right in the same ballpark. He came down just 200 slower than teammate Craig, off an identical start time. Let's take a look at the start. Matthias Guggenberger yelling them off at the top. Martis Ducours and Matthias Guggenberger working together on this sled program, not just for Great Britain, but also Janine Flock, who's not racing here this weekend, although she did come to race. She would benefit from that. And after Marcus Wyatt, this is random draw territory, is Jacob Salisbury. 2nd World Cup start ever for the former swimmer. Did he get a little bump there? Oh, very skiddy early on. Off a 5.64 start, that's a very quick getaway. 3rd in the Intercontinental Cup last year, the now defunct series that has brought more top sliders into the World Cup. Started as recently as November 2020. We're now just into December 2023, so 3 seasons of sliding under his belt. This is better, looking nice and smooth here, but damage was done early on. Only the 13th best speed, outside the top 10 at the moment. Need to find a little bit more pace at the bottom. Nice smooth exit, and on the wrong side, so maybe steering just a little too hard to get it, and across the line, 13th place, nearly 2 seconds back, 62.06. Well, has not got vast experience of this track. Not many sliders have got a lot of experience of this track, in fairness. Most of those who do are now coaching. So 13th place at the moment for Jacob Salisbury. Oh, little stumble, and the hand didn't quite grab the saddle with that right hand. And does he get a little bump? Yeah, well, a little bump over the fillet there, the join in the concrete, the expansion joint. Yeah, the face says it all, disappointed with that. Next up for Italy, Amedeo Bagnis, our silver medalist from the Skeleton World Championships in St. Moritz. One of his big days of his career, no question at all about that. And another fast starter, 5.71. He's 13th in Beijing, has not raced here before. His best ever World Cup result, an 8th place finish in Winterberg. 5th at the start, 8th on the splits at the moment. Picking up pace, up to 7th on the splits. This could be a top 6 run, potentially. Only the 10th best speed, though. Challenging Kim Ji-soo of Korea for 6th position. He's ahead of Sami Meyer of Austria at the moment. Where's he going to be at the line? 6th, 7th, 8th, 6th. He is ahead of Kim Ji-soo. By 3 ahead. Yeah, he is by 3, no, 400ths of a second ahead of Kim. So that's a good run so far from Amedeo Bagnis. Top 6 after the first heat. In the women's race, we saw quite a few changes, even in the top 3, even in the top 6, certainly in the top 10. There tend to be some fairly tight groupings at this level, and that means that if you can hold your speed and hold your line, you've got a chance of moving up the order. Jung Seung-gui, still our race leader. From Denmark, making his third start in the Skeleton World Cup, Rasmus Johansson, just 21 years of age. It's the German coach Christian Bauder who is helping with Rasmus. Rasmus speaks fluent German, which certainly doesn't hinder that relationship. 591 start for him. Fourth in the Intercontinental Cup a couple of seasons ago. Ninth in the Youth Olympic Games in St. Moritz. And Junior World Championship silver medalist last year. His initial coaching from Anja Huber-Selbach, a woman who knows plenty about getting a sled off the start blocks fast and down the hill fast as well. His dad was a slider, and his younger sister Nana, who is 17, is also a slider. So a little bit like the Meyer family, there's a lot of it going around. 12th at the start, 13th at the moment. That might well be enough to see Rasmus Johansson in the race. So a little shake of the head, but 61.65, I like his chances off that. 591, 12th fastest start, 13th at the bottom. And he is ahead of Yang Wengang, Jacob Salisbury and Adrian Rodriguez. 91 in start, there you go, 91 in the start. Well, just as well he speaks fluent German. I'm not sure too many of the BSD crew actually speak Norwegian. And he will be the first Norwegian slider since Snorre Pedersen, I would think, to slide on ice at home this year. Colin Freeling for Belgium. Second World Cup start for Colin. Started in 2017 in the build-up to Youth Olympic Games. He finished in the 10th place in St. Moritz in the Youth Olympics. Has not raced here. Made his World Cup debut in Beijing on the Olympic track. A 6:21 start. So he's got a lot of work to do to make it into the field. But that's what the target is at this stage. Still only in his third season of sliding. '13th best speed. He's finding a little more further down the track. Keeping it as neat and tidy as he can. Trying not to argue too much with the sled. Let the sled do the work. That's what it's there for. Picks up a spot up to 16th ahead of Adrian Rodriguez at the line. So one sled behind him. He's adrift of Jacob Salisbury, with Colin Freeling in 16th place at the moment. And the Brits are helping out with Colin's coaching.
That's all right.
A little late exit there, but not too much drama. And he did manage to hold his speed further down the track as well. You could see quite a lot of tap dancing there.
Some stuff to clean up. Thanks.
Yep. Hey, listen, first World Cup season, if there wasn't stuff to clean up, then we'd all be very surprised. Florian Auer with older brother Alex laying the sled on the ice for him. So Alex, the first of the second generation of Auers to take to the ice, followed by Flo, of course their father Christian Auer, who's a leading light in the Eagles track, was one of the big superstars in the early years of skeleton in the late 90s and early 2000s. 7th best speed from the 17th fastest start. If that is correct, then that is a very good upper part. Okay, that's more like it, maybe 15th best speed off the 17th fastest start. But Flo with plenty of experience under his belt. This is his 50th World Cup race. Finished in 17th place here 3 years ago. He'd love to go better than that, and he is at the moment. Up to 16th. Ooh, couple of hits. Gonna take speed out of the sled. Was up to 15th. Don't think he's necessarily going to hold that at the line. Back down to 16th. 62.14. Lots to work on. And of course, they'll be heading home, literally as well as metaphorically, not just to their home country, but to probably their home, to their actual homes, to their own beds for a couple of days before racing in Eagles. Again, that take-on is really savage, isn't it? Very tough indeed. From 9 down into 10. And that hit there, a lot of ice being kicked off the wall, and that's taking vital energy out of the sled. Dan Barefoot makes his World Cup debut for the USA. Big moment in any slider's life. And I'm sure he was watching the women's race earlier, seeing teammate Mystique Rowe in only her second World Cup race, taking an astonishing silver medal. Top two in the women's race had just 4 World Cup starts between them. Look at the focus of the eagle on his helmet. Brings to mind the bald eagle on the helmet of Katie Uhlaender. Dan Barefoot, 12th fastest start, still a top 12 run. This is good. And actually, this is a very Katie Uhlaender sort of loosey-goosey slide as well. Feet apart, just letting the sled do the work. 10th best speed. This could be a top 12 run for Dan Barefoot. This is a very nice looking slide so far. Little tap there on the wrong side. Head up, checking the line. Where's he going to be? 12th place at the line. He's definitely on. He's 11th. That is a very good first run. There's Matt Antoine, the coach. 5:91 getaway. And 11th best at the bottom. So he outdrove his start. Great helmet livery. So much of the athlete is reflected in the choice of helmet design so often. He managed to handle the exit here. Landed pretty nicely.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Good stuff. Good stuff from Dan Barefoot. Raced in the ICC last year. Axel Jung didn't. He raced in the World Cup last year. Olympic silver medalist behind the Olympic champion Christopher Groothair. Ahead of Yang Wengang. Axel was 5th here 3 years ago in his 65th World Cup race. So Dan Barefoot just before him, first World Cup race. Axel in his 65th. 5:84 the getaway. He's still got speed. 11th at the start, 11th best speed. But again, he's that ideal skeleton frame, long, lean, rangy athlete. Nice smooth drive from Axel Jung into the top 10. Now, like Christopher Groothair, building speed down the run. Groothair still lies second. Axel Jung could be top 6 at the line. Little rub there and a steer to counterbalance it. Into 19. Finish line's in sight, not quite the top 10, 61.10. Well, he was up into 9th place midway down, but slips a little to 11th. Axel was 5th place 3 years ago, so he's going to need some kind of epic second run. Again, early, big pressure. And again, that second big pressure. And dropping down between the two of them, not fighting it, just letting it fly. Jung Seung-gui still leads from Christopher Groothair, then Matt Weston, Craig Thompson and Marcus Wyatt. Felix Geisinger, 25 years of age, the Bavarian, made his debut in Sigulda, Latvia in December 2018, took his first medal in Laplagne, December 2019. His most recent medal was Sigulda in December 2020. So it's starting to become a little bit of a drought. Dropped out of the World Cup squad for a while as well, Kaisi. Enormous starting speed, fourth fastest out of the blocks here, but it's the consistency that has been his Achilles heel. This is not looking like a bad run at all. This is top 4 right now for Felix Geisinger. Still fourth best speed. He's going to split the Brits. Is he going to be ahead of them? He's dropping away now. 4900s back. Should be between Marcus Wyatt and Amadeo Banhas. But is he 6th? He's 8th. There's only a couple of hundreds in it. He is tied with Sammy Meyer, 300s behind Kim Ji-soo, 400s, beg your pardon, 700s behind Amadeo Banhas. So 700s covering 4 athletes.
Schlechter Start. 68.
Yeah, not a great start, he was saying. 5.68. He's disappointed with that. And he misses that acceleration at the start. Again, coming down a little early on the right-hand side, whereas everybody would prefer to be on the left. But time for a Felix Geisinger second run, I feel. 22nd of our 32 sliders, and our second debutante, 21-year-old Livio Summermatter from Switzerland. Junior European champion, youth bronze medalist on home ice in St. Moritz 2020. So he's already got a fine junior career behind him as he makes his World Cup debut. 10th fastest start, 5.79. No wonder they like this kid. Started sliding February 2019, so he's just starting his 3rd full season on ice. He's losing ground here, doesn't have great knowledge of the Laplagne track. Without a decade of experience to draw on, trying to work it out as he goes along. If he makes the second heat, that will be a big result from his World Cup debut. And at the moment, he is in 20th place, ahead of Colin Freeling and Adrian Rodriguez, and he's ahead of Florian Auer as well. 19th place at the line for Livio Summermatter, and that might be enough. Top 25 of 32 go through, and he's already got 4 behind him. There's a big smile from long, rangy Swiss slider Livio Summermatter. Welcome to the World Cup. Again, look at that, just working hard to stop the sled climbing at the end of the curve. Ciao, Livio. Well, Felix Seibel, not a rookie. This is his 2nd World Cup start, Felix Seibel. So 26 years of age, made his debut in Innsbruck in January 2021. So 2 years and 6 months ago, 9 months ago, he finished in 15th place. Let's see what he's got for us here. He was the ICC champion that season and has been the runner-up in the Intercontinental Cup for the last 2 years. Nice looking lines. Knows how to slide a sled. 5.92, not the fastest of getaways. But I sense that this is another young German slider who can outdrive his run. This is nice looking lines. These are nice looking lines. 17th at the start, knocking on the door of the top 10 halfway down. 8th best speed. He's absolutely flying, isn't he? Out of corner 18, tracking down into 19. Finish line's in sight, top 10, 12th place. Just slipped a whisker at the bottom. But if you can start 17th and finish 12th on a track that you don't know, then he could be very entertaining when we get to tracks he does know, like Altenburg and Winterberg. 92 start and a 61.06 run. That's a good effort from Felix Seibel. 400s ahead of Axel Junk. 700s behind Vladislav Heraskevich. 900s out of the top 10. There's his target for the second heat. With Matt Antoine holding the sled, we get to our other Florian, Austin Florian of the USA. Did race here 3 years ago, finished in 18th place. This is Austin's 36th World Cup race. 5.66 getaway. That's a good, strong start in this field. That is the 4th fastest launch. And if you can do that, you give yourself a great shot. Nice looking line so far. Nice and smooth, nice and controlled. Maybe too much if the speed is to be believed. Half a kilometre down on the top speed, which was Christopher Groothair at that stage. The gap is growing. Was 1400s behind at the start. Now 7/10 back. This is going to leave him outside the top 10. Dan Barefoot, his new teammate, or his teammate who makes his debut here, is 14th at the line. Is he ahead or in front? He's behind. 16th at the line for Austin Florian. 61.52 at the line. So Dan Barefoot is the better of the American sliders so far in 14th place. Austin Florian in 16th. Yeah, not the happiest of campers. The lines look neat and tidy. Okay, big bump there. There's been loads of those. Again, maybe the setup of the sled has just got a little too much runner contact, and as a result, too much friction. Temperatures were definitely much lower a couple of days ago. For Canada now, young Blake Endy made his World Cup debut last season, 22 years of age, former speed skater. His first full World Cup season last year. It's actually his 11th World Cup start, 5.90. 16th at the start. Gives him plenty to work with to make it into the race. 13th best speed. So he's gaining some early on in the run. Out of 8, nice and straight, into 9, into 10, into 11. As quick as you can say it, they fly at you in that little labyrinth. And then into corner 12. Rushing on down, 13, 14. Big hard pressures at the end of the run. 19th best speed. He's gone from 22nd back up to 20th on the splits. Out of 24 sleds so far, he is the 25th slider. Top 20 might get him into the race. 19, that gives him a fighting chance. Another one of so many who didn't race here previously. Harry Clark, his teammate, helping with the sled. had a good morning. Top 10 finish for Hallie Clark. Blake Enzie currently in 19th place, tied with Yan Wengang, so they'll both be in or both be out. We could end up with 26 sleds in our top 25.
Anyone at Lake Louise, look for Michael Ski. Lost.
Jung Seung-gui is our first round leader. Towering above his coach is Austria's Alexander Schlindner, the 25-year-old. With height like that, was he a baller? Yes, he was. Handball, though, rather than basketball. But look at the length of this man. He's got to be one of the tallest athletes in the field, if not the tallest. 5.82 the getaway, 14th fastest. That's good turnover with levers that long. Well, maybe that's because it's a marathon, not a sprint up there, as they tell us endlessly. Last race was the Intercontinental Cup race in February of this year. Started sliding Homan Eagles in 2013. This is a good-looking run so far. Long, lean, aerodynamic frame. He's got his shoulders down nicely. Little bit of elbow sticking out, right elbow. 9th best speed. Could be a top 10 run for Alexander Schlindner. This could be really big for him. He's got 4 12th place finishes so far in his previous 10 races. And across the line, 12th, 61.05. He's in that massive log jam of sliders, hovering outside the top 10. 100th ahead of Felix Seibel, 500s ahead of Axel Jung, 600s behind Vladislav Heraskevich, 800s out of the top 10, where he finds Mattia Gaspari. So there's another massive battle shaping up for our second heat. Well, that was not a bad-looking run at all from Alexander Schlindner.
Liebe Grüße an zu Hause.
There's got to be some Scandinavian in him somewhere, hasn't that? Lucas Dufayet is the only French skeleton slider, as Agathe Bessard, who tore her hamstring in the lead into the World Championship, her Achilles rather, had to have more surgery late this autumn. She's here and coaching, but not fit to slide. So Dufayet, the 26-year-old, in only his 6th World Cup race, made his debut in Sigulda in February 2021 and has had, as you can gather, very occasional World Cup outings since then. Best of which 17th in Altenburg. Now listen, when you grow up on this track, you learn how to slide a sled that requires a lot of steering. That parlays very nicely in Altenburg. So Lucas Dufayet, 13th at the start, 15th at the moment for 5.80 start. That's a little quicker than Alexander Schlindner just produced, and he ended up in 12th place. Dufayet, where is he going to be? He's losing ground at the bottom, 18th at the line, 61.63. That should be enough to get him into the race. He has 8 sleds behind him. He's tied with Ying Zheng of China. Shakes his head a little. Again, a few too many mistakes creeping in for his liking. Well, that doesn't leave him in a team of 1, does it? I think almost everybody would say the same. This is a tough driving track. Although he does know it and probably spends pre- and post-season here at least a little, it's not like he's on it every week of his life. Oh, nose down there, big skid as he takes that first pressure. Well, we'll see if he can hit the bullseye with his next run. Next up, Vladislav Polivac. Not the first time we've met him, but the first time he started a World Cup race. Did the European Championships in 2020 and 2021, Vladislav. But this is his World Cup debut for Poland. It's been a while since we've had Polish sliders. 6.08 is the getaway. And that leaves him in a battle to make the field. So needs to find speed on the track, but again, you can see his head is up, and that brings the shoulders up as well. He's looking through the corners. He knows where they go, but not intimately enough not to look. And that's where the speed comes, when you don't have to think about it, when it's all on field. And at the moment, he's going where the eyes lead him. That's a reflection of not so many years on ice. Started in January 2021, we're now in December 2023, so he's had 2 full years of sliding, and that's it. This is season number 3 on ice for him. Vladislav Polivac comes across the line, 28th place, 63.37. We won't see him in the second heat, but he has made his World Cup debut. And that is the top tier in the sport. All right, big smile from him. That is his day done here in Laplagne. And he may not be the only one. 4 sleds to go. So Vladislav Polivac, Arjen Rodriguez, Colin Freeling at the moment not making the race, and Florian Auer is on the bubble. Now then, another of 3 consecutive debutants. This is Vincent Bouffe, the middle of 3 Swiss sliding brothers, making his World Cup debut. He's 22. His older brother, Jean-Jacques, started sliding for Switzerland, now slides for Liechtenstein. And younger brother, Valentina, now just 17, is also sliding. So there's a lot of it going around in that family as well. Started in January 21. So very new to the ice. And if Vincent can get himself a run in the second heat, that would be very good indeed. 23rd at the start gives him a chance. He's currently 24th on the splits. And if he can find even one more position, that might be enough. At the moment, he is bumping out Florian Auer of Austria. He's up to 22nd. He's safe now. He's in the race. Let's see if he can hang on in there. 22nd, 18th at the line, 61.62. That's a big run. He's got a good start, and he used it to great effect. He is in, and out goes Florian Auer. Swiss teammate Livio Sumamata is currently on the bubble, but on his World Cup debut, Vincent Bouffe has made the field, and comfortably too. Well, he may well feel that there is more to come. And there may be more to come in the second heat. Of course, with limited knowledge of the track, it might not go his way in the second heat, but he's in the race, he's in the second heat, and that's what counts. Now, the 5th of our 6 debutants is Timon Jarnowski from the Czech Republic. There's his cousin behind him. You might recognise her, Anna Fernstedt. So, yes, that's exactly how he got hooked up into this crazy sport. So Timon, just 20 years of age, bronze medalist in the under-20 Junior Worlds. Slid in the Youth Olympics in 2020. And 29th at the start, 6.20, leaves him with a lot of sliding work to do. Right now, not going to make the cut for the second heat. But on his World Cup debut, that's probably not the hugest surprise. Raced in Europe Cup and Intercontinental Cup since the Youth Olympic Games, so the last 2 seasons. And he will come across the line, I think, likely ahead of Vladislav Polivac of Poland. What about Arjen Rodriguez? He's ahead of the Spaniard as well. 27th at the line. That's a good run. He's ahead of Colin Freeling as well. And there his happy cousin. So two Czech Republic sliders in the Skeleton World Cup now. Timon Dranovsky joins the field. Well, it doesn't make the second heat, but he outdrove his start. A couple of little wild moments in there, but again, when you're only in your third season of full-time sliding, that's hardly a surprise. Big smile, 20 years of age. He could be around for a long while. 2 to go. Manuel Schwerzer of Italy. 20th World Cup race for the former luge slider. Made his debut in Königssee, Bavaria back in January 2017. I'm thrilled to see that final plans for the rebuilding of the start area and a new luge start at Königssee have been approved. We look forward, they anticipate the track being ready for the 25-26 season, just 2 years from now. And that will be fantastic news for sliding. Let's get back to the case in hand. 14th at the start, giving himself every chance. Manuel Schwerzer, like Jacob Salisbury, the second quickest starter, not handling the speed down the track. Like Jacob, in trouble here, 19th fastest. Salisbury 24th. Livio Sumamata is on the bubble. Schwerzer finding a bit more pace up to 17th, puts his head back down, sees the line, into 19 and across the line, 16th, so he's in. And Livio Sumamata is out. Jacob Salisbury is on the bubble with 1 to go. So, started 14th fastest, ended up in 16th. But after a tricky top part of the track, he was dropping like a stone. But Manuel Schwerzer pulls it back together. If you wonder why so many of the Italian sliders have German-sounding names or Germanic names, half of them come from the Cortina d'Ampezzo area, Mattia Gaspari, the other half from Südtirol on the western side of the Italian Alpine regions, and they all speak German. Our final starter, Jordan, I'm sorry, you're going to have to... Jordan Riamilara, from Canada, 33 years of age, made him in the World Championships earlier in the year, and was looking forward to seeing this young man, or this man, make his World Cup debut. He's in this weekend off a 13th best start, 5.80, but again, limited knowledge of the track. It's his first race in Europe. He's raced in the North America's Cup up until now, so he would look to be a solid choice for the season finale in Lake Placid, a track that he will know well. Coach Joe Cicchini told me that this season is all about giving basically everybody in the squad World Cup starts, trying to figure out who's where in terms of pace. Well, Jordan on a track that he's not seen before, in a country he's not raced in before. 30th at the line. So does not get the second heat, but has made his World Cup debut. There's Jane Chan on the left. And his coach, 62.72. Right. Next time we see him on TV, I will have learnt properly how to pronounce his name. So, Jordan Riamilara rounds out our run. Head down, face buried in the ice. You've got to have bravery and confidence in spades for this sport. Knowledge and experience are what back those up. And with some speed at the start, then all things can be possible. But World Cup debut ticked that box. Jordan will join us watching the second heat, though, which will be seeing Jun Seungui going for his first ever World Cup win. A brand new start record here. The only man below 5.6 seconds. And and Jung with a slight lead. 0.08 of a second over Christopher Grote here. Is that enough? Well, we saw the first heat leader in the women's race finish in the medals, but not first. Kimberly Boss ended up in third. Christopher Grote here, Olympic champion, two-time world champion. He's got bags of experience. Matt Weston, the reigning world champion, so has he. Can Craig Thompson and Marcus Wyatt make it into the medals? Amadeo Banyas, Kim Ji-soo, Sammy Meyer tied with Felix Kaisinger, and Mattia Gaspari rounds out the top 10. Got another tie a little bit further down the order for 20th place. Yin Cheng and Lucas Dufayet of France are tied together. And it will be Jacob Salisbury who leads off the second heat. Well, you can join us for that in a little over 40 minutes time. Till then, from the IBSF TV crew here in Laplagne, from me, Martin Haven, thanks for joining us. We will see you later to find out who wins our second men's skeleton race of the season.